just about 2 weeks away from the presidential election. How do you see the state of the race right now in general?
I think referring to how the two candidates are handling it, I think almost sometimes it can be made humorous. And I feel like that's almost problematic because I think a lot of people are into this election for like the memes of it all rather than like actually understanding and knowing who's trying to push what agenda. And I think that's slightly problematic, especially for the new like voting people coming in.
Do you see a certain candidate as more memeable?
Yeah, I definitely think Donald Trump is more memeable. I think they both have their moments though, 100%.
With the new Gen Z entering the electorate, what role do you see social media and memes playing in this election?
I think like for me personally, I'll even see a meme of like making fun of one of them and I still want to look at what was going on that made that moment funny. I think social media definitely helps people know quicker what's going on. And I think there's way more platforms now that kind of like simplifies the terms that they're talking about. And like I follow TikTokers who break down like the debates and what each candidate's trying to push in more simplified terms to help the Gen Z demographic better understand it. Because I think the Gen Z demographic are a lot of kids who are wanting to make a difference no matter which side of the race they're on. And I think sometimes they do that without knowing all the information. So I think social media is helpful with knowing it all a bit better.
Yeah. Did you watch the vice presidential debate?
I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it because I got frustrated, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was frustrating about it?
I think it just, a lot of it became kind of like, I feel like sometimes it becomes like a roast battle almost. I don't feel like it's as serious as it should be. And personally, I get very worked up.
Okay.
And so then I'm like, I don't know. If I don't agree with one thing, I find myself spiraling, which probably isn't fair, but it's true.
I see. A lot of young people I've talked to talked about the vice presidential debate in particular, saying it was such a breath of fresh air compared to the presidential debate.
I would agree with that still, yeah.
That it was a lot, at least more formal than the presidential debate.
Yeah.
It was a lot more policy involved. And a lot of younger people found that to be very interesting because since 2016, there hasn't really been a presidential debate with a lot of policy involved. It's more like personal attacks, that kind of thing. What do you think both candidates could do better with their campaigns?
I think like the vice presidents or the two presidents running?
Either one.
I think almost, I don't know, I feel like sometimes they're just like, and maybe this is the whole point, but I just think it's kind of tired and like done of them when asked about their own goals, they talk about how it's so opposite from their opponent's goals. And again, it turns almost into just picking fun at the other candidate rather than focusing in on their specific goals, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I gotcha. With Donald Trump, what do you think his biggest obstacle is for winning this election?
I think, personally, it's getting like diverse communities behind him. I think he said a lot of things he can't entirely take back and unsay, and I think that has really affected a lot because I know several people who think he's doing much better for like the tax bracket and like financial bracket of the United States, but will not go behind him because of things he said about their community.
Oh, gotcha.
So I think making more of an effort to get everyone on his side and not just a demographic that tends to be, but isn't always, primarily white men and women.
Gotcha. What do you see as Kamala Harris's greatest obstacle?
I think sometimes she tries to be too relatable.
I grew up in a middle-class family?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like, I think she tries to, like, relate to the people, which I think is a good thing, but I think sometimes she could take it more seriously.
Gotcha. Going into the final days before this election, do you think either candidate has an edge right now?
Personally, I feel like it's pretty neck and neck. I think it depends who you ask and where you ask it. Like, I mean, that I feel like it's pretty close, and that might be because I'm worried about a certain outcome happening, and so I'm just thinking about that more. I don't know. I feel like they're both pretty close together, and I think that's part of what makes me nervous. And I think because people don't enjoy either option, which I can understand people not enjoying politics for that reason, but that is causing a lot of people not to vote because they don't want to give either vote, but like that kind of cancels out other people. And so I think I think they're pretty even because a lot of people aren't voting this time.
Gotcha. With these final days before the election, where will you be getting your information from?
So I try to go to both kind of like platforms to like, even if I don't always enjoy it, I go to Fox News for some things and then like CNN for other things or whatever. I think now it just kind of comes down to like me reading the most basic of goals that they both have and deciding which of those goals I align more with and respect a bit more.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.